有的人像主角一样扎眼，放在人堆里都知道他特别，轻松就能赚到好感。有的葡萄酒也是，他们的事迹几乎家喻户晓，价格和名气也是逐年水涨船高。它就是葡萄酒的尽头，勃艮第。纵观今年全世界最贵的50款葡萄酒榜单中，前50排名中43支来自勃艮第，前10更是霸道的独占9席，是葡萄酒领域中不折不扣的先锋。那究竟何为先锋呢？最笨的办法，拆开来读，领衔加锋利。看看勃艮第的酒庄和葡萄园就知道，没有太多浮夸的城堡，不过是田园牧歌，岁月静好，仿佛生来普通，也始终自然。而领衔之处，便是在风土老家，纵情向真实靠近，然后用自然说话，锋利的对，真实，零距离凝视。这便是勃艮第的震撼之处，未经提炼，略显粗糙，毫无防备的真实。Hello， 大家好，这里是未必出类拔萃，但一定与众不同的婉丽君，欢迎来到我的频道婉丽说。那么今天的离家出走勃艮梨的法式生活葡萄酒游学纪录片系列视频，将走进风土老家勃艮第，用昆博酒庄 Jean-Claude Boisset 的采访内容为例，探寻先锋勃艮第的背后故事。昆博酒庄的家族历史始于1961年，当时年仅18岁的 Jean-Claude Boisset 开始在 Neuilly-sur-Roche 建立了他的同名贸易酒窖。时至今日，博塞集团已经是法国第4大重要酒业集团。酒庄所处的位置前身是历史上尤尔苏里纳修道院 Les Ursulines， 在2012年建造了一个从建筑角度来看与其创始人风格一样大胆的创意酒窖，也绝对称得上先锋之作。这座酒庄如同连接18世纪与21世纪的桥梁，用18世纪石墙记住土地故事，21世纪的科技翻译气候密码。酒窖中那一瓶瓶酒就像把整个勃艮第的春夏秋冬都装进了瓶子里。当1717年的石墙遇进当今的绿植宫顶，这座为根系哲学而生的昆博酒庄，踩着Les Ursulines300年时光的韵脚，在古老地窖与未来建筑的共生中，完成对风土的朝圣。不仅如此，昆博酒庄还聪明地在酒庄里加入了风水符号，不仅立足于勃艮第的风土传统，还加入了神秘的风水玄学。酒庄根据黄金比例原理建造，其灵感来自地理物理学和神圣的建筑，根据太阳的轨迹、月球的周期和所有天体进行定位，成为了一个转化宇宙及地球能量的机器。这个独特的酒庄连接着地球与天堂，宏伟的同时又充满谦卑，也融合了 Neuilly-sur-Roche 的葡萄种植区的地理风貌。如此领先甚至玄妙的精神状态，真是非常符合勃艮第作为风土老家的气质。不过当晚离除了被昆博酒庄这独特的能量设计所吸引，被酒庄历史酒窖吸睛之余，始终忘不了的还有一个画面。采访那日，酒庄门口的中国国旗随风飘扬，接待说：是啊，今天他们在这里为婉丽说的团队到来而升起。那深的感动不言而喻，突然也让婉丽意识到昆博酒庄所代表的勃艮第在先锋上有了更鲜活的意义。真实背后，细节勾连起历史传统与现代故事的脉络，展示了最玄妙的勃艮第风土和意境。细节填充了人性之间的相互感染，完成了个体与个体的隔空击掌。它是让昆博酒庄名声在外的密码，也是让勃艮第成为了多少人百转千回、初见心动、久处亦怦然的白月光。 如果说细节是让昆博酒庄反映真实、成为先锋的利器，那么发现趋势甚至引领趋势才是一个酒庄或产区持久领先的密码。在酒庄2代继承人 Jean-Claude Boisset 和他的姐姐 Natalie 的推动下，博塞集团的发展和昆博酒庄的品牌实力得到了加速。Jean-Claude Boisset 在一次又一次的收购后，为了正确建立他的酒庄帝国根基，他对酒庄进行了整体的重新定位。为此，他特地邀请了 Rigory 加入了昆博酒庄，并重新考虑葡萄酒的酿造。
I am the winemaker of the Jean-Claude Boisset winery since 2002. So already 22 years old, I joined the company based in Nuit-Saint-Georges, and who was founded in 1961.
And there is a name actually with the people here to call you is Winnie Cotter, and the creation from the Jean-Claude Boisset. So maybe you can take a little bit explanation for that?
It's a unique job because usually the winemakers in Burgundy, they stay in the winery and in the cellar, and they don't really know and see what's going on in the vineyard here. My job is a cross vinicultor, is a cross between a vineyard manager and a winemaker. So I can really follow the whole process. So that means I follow the process from winter when the vineyard is growing to harvest. So I can follow the whole process from A to Z. In fact, because I think you can only make good wines when you understand what's going on in the vineyard. And it's really, the vineyard totally influences the way that you vinify the wine.
Rigory 得到了全权委托，目标是开发能反映每个产区最好的葡萄酒，其在尊重每款葡萄酒的风土条件的同时，寻找风土的真实性。先己一步，自成立风，这大概才是先锋2字最微小也最扎实的落点。不信，你看。
Yeah, I think you messed the best Pinot with what we call egg and chicken and eggs. It means it's a tiny grapes, half size than a normal one, and you have in fact twice more concentration than with a normal grapes, because it's normal because the juice of Pinot Noir is white. So that means when you have tiny berries, and the color is in the skin, and when you do the maceration, so that means you have twice more solid compared to the liquid part. So you have much more color, much more sweeter tannins as well, and much more concentration. So it's very interesting in rainy vintages like this one, for example, 23, 24, which is quite rainy. It will be interesting to have a mirandage because you have much more concentration. Exactly. Yeah, this vineyard here was planted during the Second World War in 1942, so it's we are very lucky to have that, because really the Pinot gets always the maximum of its quality above 50 years old. So this is really we are extremely rich to get to have that and to be able to manage that kind of vineyard. What does it bring? It brings more complexity, more sweetness, more elegance, and really wine that can age through decades. You always have, let's say, a better balance in this wine between acidity, tannins, and structure of the wine. It's always the perfect match with old wine. With young vines, you always have much less acidity, much more pH. That means the balance is not always as good as you can get with an old vineyard. Yeah, I think there's a clear trend in Burgundy with more white, with more demand with the consumers. But I think we must not do that everywhere. I think there are, for example, 1 kilometer away from where we are today, there is a vineyard next to the forest, a little bit at the top of the vineyard of the Premier Cru, which is much more fresh, much more colder. Cold terroir, and I think it's interesting to plant Chardonnay here in this place where the Pinot are never enough ripe. So I think it's interesting to really try to discover some white terroir there. Yeah, I love Aligoté. I'm a big fan of Aligoté. Aligoté, you will see in the next few years it's going to explode, and I think it's really a total not enough exposed grape variety. But you know, before I was working for Domaine Leroy in Vendôme. I think the aligoté from Leroy are the most expensive aligoté in the world.
Yes.
And it really convinced me 20 years ago that you can make outstanding wines with aligoté, but it needs more attention than Chardonnay and Pinot Noir because it's highly productive. And it's unusual because in fact, to make a good aligoté, you need twice more work in the vineyard than a Chardonnay or Pinot Noir. But when you do it, the result is absolutely amazing. 2 weeks ago, we have opened an aligoté from us. It's called La Corvée aux Moines from 2009 vintage, so 15 years old. And trust me, this is still a baby. So when it's well made, it can age like for decades without any problem.
Hi everyone, I'm Laure Guillotot, co-winemaker of Jean-Claude Boisset winery, and I'm working with Gregory since 10 years now. So at Jean-Claude Boisset, we really have the philosophy of really keeping each personality of each wine. So we are working a lot with different clima, different single vineyards, and to make sure they have their best personality, we are not adding a crazy amount of enological product. We say we have a really low intervention techniques, so working really in a traditional way. As you can see behind us, we are working in old oak vats that are very good for the winemaking of red wine, and for the whites we like to say we are a little bit lazy because we don't do that much during all the winemaking process. We are really letting the wine expressing themselves naturally. It has changed quite a lot recently because of the global warming. So for now we are lucky because we get maybe higher alcohol potentials that we get in the past. Also, enological knowledge has changed quite a lot, and also the knowledge globally has changed. We have more tools to really keep, really play with the temperature. I'm not speaking about adding any product, but it's really our knowledge about the biology of the wine that have changed a lot. So I think the wine are more precise than they used to be. Well, for example, we are able now to really get a lower sulfite amount in the wine. In the past, sulfite was really important to, for sure, protect the wine because they didn't get all the cold tool, you know, the thing to really control the temperature. It was also used as an extraction, for the extraction, because sulfite is extracting tannins. Now, with our knowledge of microbiology, we know that we can add specific yeast at the beginning of the process to protect the wine without adding any sulfites. We actually experimented we start in 2017 these techniques. It's called bioprotection. So you add natural yeasts that are not fermenting, but they are protecting the wine from some disease like the most famous is Brettanomyces, which is giving all the foxy aromas, wild horse, this kind of aromas that we don't want at all. So you see, it's quite new, and more winery are using it. And for us, but for a lot of winemakers around the world, it's really important to use less and less sulfites. And I think the consumer around the world are expecting that too. We almost never do 100% new oak, even on the Grand Cru. It's really rare. It happens, but it's really rare. We are really deciding of the amount of new oak more about the personality of the wine. It's a tool to help him to show the best personality, but it's not a recipe. You know, for us, it's not a Grand Cru 100%, Premier Cru 50 or something like that. It's really depending on the personality of the wine. So, for example, maybe you will get wine that is where there is a lack of richness after the winemaking in the vats. You feel that there is maybe an empty spot in the middle of the palate. You will select maybe more new oak for this one to elevate the flavor and the sensation on the
more complex.
Yes. On the opposite, if you have something very powerful with a lot of tannins, maybe you will look for something more neutral to make sure you keep a good balance.
巅峰有巅峰的风光，走上巅峰的路却很漫长。不过没有心思真正慢下来，也就不可能长出葡萄酒中那些细枝末节的优雅和芳香。慢慢成为先锋的本质不是慢，是投入。即使来自同一个很小的地块，也可以在酿造上产生细微的差别，就好像完全手工制作的小产量特酿在多个创意系列中进行。昆博酒庄的目标是打造口感干净无瑕、酒体柔和、果香丰富的同时，又具有巨大陈年潜力的葡萄酒。而在品鉴过程中，葡萄酒展现出的优雅，尤其是精细，也是昆博酒庄品牌的标志。酿酒中有慢，更有杯中那份辛苦和忙碌后的回甘。
Because as I explained earlier, we really want to have the different personality and to protect the personality of each single vineyard. So you taste 3 wines and they were quite different. The most important for us is to make sure that the oak is not too obvious, you know, too much.
But integrated.
Yes. So this is our main concern. And to make sure also that it will age, because you know with Chardonnay, you have to be careful. You don't want it to be completely oxidized after 5 years. So that's maybe the 2 most important things in our philosophy. But we are not looking for specific aromas. So I just poured the Bourgogne Chardonnay Les Ursulines 2023. So this is really, I would like to say, the most important white wine of our production. Of course, it's a regional appellation, so it's supposed to be maybe more humble. But this is the most important because the regional appellation is really showing the quality of the winery. If you have a good regional, usually you have very good Grand Cru. Yes. So it's the most difficult to make. So for making this wine, we are sourcing Chardonnay from different areas of Burgundy. The first one is the majority of the grapes are coming from the Côte de Beaune area, so near Meursault, Puligny, or this very famous appellation of the Côte de Beaune. but we also blend some Chardonnay from Mâcon, so in the southern part of Burgundy, not that far from the Beaujolais region. And finally, since 2018, we are adding also 10% of grapes from the Chablis area, because with the climate change, we found out sometimes that there were a lack of crispiness, and people they are looking for this acidity, this minerality. So to keep a really good balance, we choose to add around 10% from this area. And you have a nice minerality also in this wine. You can also smell a little bit of oaky aromas, because as every wine from the Boisset, Jean-Claude Boisset range, we do an aging in barrel, even for the regional. This one is only 6 to 8 months in barrel, but we are still using a little bit of new oak, also around 10%, to create this noble aromas, you know, with maybe a hint of vanilla, and to support with a little bit more tannins also to the wine. This Saint-Véran, so it's a village appellation. It's in the Mâcon area. It's coming from a specific single vineyard named Les Pomards, and this plot is owned by the Boisset family since 2020 vintage. So it's quite a new addition to the range. So, as you know, we are based in Côte de Nuit, but since quite a long time we wanted to add to our range some of the wine from the Mâcon area, because it's you have excellent quality of Chardonnay, but less expensive than in Meursault, Puligny, and all this appellation. And for us, it was, of course, it's a pleasure and an honor to be able to do Corton Charlemagne, Puligny Montrachet, but we also want to do super good quality of Chardonnay, more affordable. It's very important for the European market, but even globally, people are asking for this type of wine that are very enjoyable, just for an aperitif, you know, not specifically with food. And we do exactly the same winemaking for this one than for a Meursault or a Puligny Montrachet. So it's more than 18 months in barrel. It's vinified in barrel. It's natural yeast only. We don't do bâtonnage, but it's a long aging on lees. And after 18 months, we did the bottling. You will see it's quite concentrated because of the frost that we got. You can even see by the color, it's quite gold. And you have a really expressive nose.
它不仅有非常澎湃的这种果味，然后它也有非常好的一个结构，就像我刚刚说的，它好像是一个回声一样。你在喝到这款酒的时候，不会觉得它就在你眼前是一个缤纷的水果炸弹，但是你会觉得它的这种香料，它的这种甜香料，它的这种果味，它的这种非常 integrated 的橡木桶，会给你感觉它整个酒是一个非常远的，然后又很近。然后就像蒙娜丽莎一样，它可以给你展现各种各样的微笑，但是你不太能明白它到底想要给你哪一面，但你会觉得哪一面都非常神秘，也都非常美。
This is a premier cru named La Maladière. So La Maladière, it used to be kind of in a hospital, like in the Middle Age, so a little bit like the hospice, you know. So it was owned by a small hospital in Centenay. So that's why you get this name. For making this wine, we don't do exactly the same winemaking process than the Savigny. We are using whole cluster maceration for the winemaking process. So 50% of the harvest is the stem, so we keep only the berries. And for the second half, we keep the stem. And the stem will add to the wine a little bit of flower aromas like dried roses, violets. And also we do a very gentle extraction to make sure you won't get the greeny type of aromas. Sorry. And on the mouth, it will make the wine maybe more approachable, more refined. So this is why we are using more whole cluster in the really big vintage, very powerful to keep the elegance of the wine. So this one is vinified actually the same way than the Centenay. So 50% of whole cluster, 50% distem. It's a contract that we have since a very long time. We are making this wine since 2005, I think. So we have a good experience of it. It's quite an old vineyard, which is more than 60 years old now. And you always have a tiny crop and a huge concentration with a lot of mirandage actually in this specific plot. It's always a small production. We do around 3,000 bottles of this one for the entire world. So it's a little bit crazy. It's always under allocation, and it's really refined, a lot of elegance. So this is why we are using a world cluster.
我想，对于勃艮第先锋性的评价，比起完美，我更喜欢真实。从昆博酒庄的游学中，我看到了勃艮第的另一种先锋。当勃艮第酒庄们抽离繁忙的通告、光环和掌声，仍旧能在日复一日的劳作里放下坚固的人设，真诚的、全副精力的做好每件眼前的小事，领衔趋势，把种植和酿酒当作自己的生活一样去过。勃艮第的诚意大概藏在每一个不敷衍的细节里，所以葡萄酒的尽头还得是勃艮第。他依旧用最质朴的让自己快乐的方式感受最玄妙的勃艮第风土和意境，他百转千回，初见心动，久处亦怦然。好了，这就是今天的离家出走勃艮第的法式生活葡萄酒游学纪录片昆博酒庄 Jean-Claude Boisset 酒庄故事的全部内容。我是未必出类拔萃但一定与众不同的婉丽君，我们下期婉丽说不见不散。